It's perfection.
Shalom Israel, we are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 120th Street, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. Today is our Sabbath service. I'm Officer Yakad, Officer Maikwa.
Shalom.
Today we're going to conduct one of our services, which is the Sabbath service. It's done every 7 days. It's a commandment given by the Most High. All right, so we are about to begin.
La Yashala to Israel.
La Yashala to Israel. When after done, you to rise, turn towards the east. We're going to now say the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanaw, Shabashemaya,
Kwadash,
Ya,
Haya, Shamka, Yahweh,
Malakwatka,
Taba'a,
Zaka,
Ya, Aisha,
Baratiza,
Kawa,
Haya,
Washamaya,
Tandanawa,
Akam, Yawam, Kawawatna, Kasalakna, Kawawatina, Wala'a, Tabianaw, Wanasayawan, Abad, Shina, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwat, Wahala, Mataparat, Iwalamim, Aman. What we said in the English was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
We're going to say now the Hakat of the power. Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Yahushai,
Babakasha,
Tandanaw,
Akak,
Narafa,
Kalmakala, Kalmadawo, Akak, Lata, Amakazariah, Akak, Hakwayam, Amatayam, Akak, Irakawat, Atimayala, Lagarashan, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Tawadaman. In the English, what we said was Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power, the power to heal all manner of sickness, and all manner of diseases, the power to cleanse the leper, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushai, we thank you. So be it.
We're going to say Psalm 121 in the Hebrew. Asha,
Ayanya,
Al-Hariyam,
Amayan,
Yaba'a,
Azariah, Ma'ayam, Yahweh, Asha, Shamayam, Maratiza, Ailatan, Yamawat, Ragalka, Shamarka, Anna, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayasham, Shawama, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Ayat, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayara, Bayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Yakarai, Yashama, Atnashpaka, Yahweh, Nashama, Tazahaka, Wabawaka, Ma'aita, Wahid, Iwala. In the English, what we said was, I will lift up my eyes unto the hill. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going in. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. So be it.
This is Psalm 83 in Hebrew. Alahaya,
Al
Damayalaka, Al Takarash,
wa al tashakwat,
Alaka, Al Kayahana,
Kayahana,
Awayabaka, Yamayawan, Ra'ash, Aimaka, Yaira
Yawama,
Sawada,
Wayata Yataizawa, Tazapawanka,
Amarwa,
Lakawa,
Wanaka
Kadam,
Magawiya, Wala Yazaka,
Waya Lazaka,
Shamia
Shala, Wawada, Kaya, Nawaitazawa, Laba, Yakarwa,
Ayaka,
Maria,
Yakarwa, Alahaya,
Adawam,
Wayashamai
Allah, Yam,
Mawaaba,
Wahagaraya, Gabal, Wa'aimalak, Palashat,
I am Yashabai,
Yashabaya,
Tazawo,
Gamashawo, Lanawo, Aima, Hayawa, Zarawai, Kayabayan, Banakal, Kwayashyan, Kwayashwan, Nasham Madawo, Ba'aiwa Yadaira, Wakazaba, Hayawa, Dama, Lahadama, Shaya Atamwa, Nada Yadmawa, Taira, Wakazaba, Wakaltaza, Manai,
Kal Nasakaya
Kamwa, Asha, Amawa, Nayarasha, Lanawa, Ata, Nahawa, Alahaya, Sheyat Tamwa, Galgala, Takwash, Lapanya,
Rawaka,
Ra'ash,
Tabaraya,
Yaira,
Wakalaba,
Talahat, Arayam, Khan, Padma, Basaraika,
Wabasa,
Wapatka, Tabahala, Maala, Maniam, Palawan, Waya Bashwa, Shamka, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahalwa, Adiyai, Waya, Kaparwa, Waya, Abalwa, Waya, Daiwa, Kayata, Shamka, Yahawa, Labarka, Alyawan, Al-Kalha, Aratiza. What we said in English, keep thou silent, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still.
Be not still.
O God,
O God.
for lo,
Thine
thine enemies make a tumult,
enemies make a tumult.
and they that hate thee
And they that hate
have lifted up the head.
have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty
They
counsel
have taken crafty counsel
against thy people,
against thy people.
and consulted against thy hidden ones.
Consulted against thy hidden
They have
ones.
said,
They have said,
Come,
Come,
let us cut them off
let us cut them off
from being a nation,
being a nation.
that the name of Israel
The name of Israel
may be no more in
be
remembrance.
no more in remembrance.
For they have consulted together
But they have consulted together
with one consent.
one consent.
They are confederate against
They are
thee.
confederate against thee.
The tabernacles of Edom,
Tabernacles of Edom
and the Ishmaelites,
and the Ishmaelites
of Moab,
of Moab
and Hagarim,
and Hagarim
of Gebal,
of Geba
and Ammon,
Ammon
and Amalek,
and Amalek
and the Philistines,
Philistine
and the inhabitants of
and
Tyre.
the inhabitants of Tyre.
Ashur
Ashur
also is joined with them.
also is joined with them.
They have holpen
They have hold on
the children of Lot.
children of Lot.
Selah,
Selah.
do unto them
Do unto them
as unto the Midianites,
as unto the Midianites,
as to Sisera,
as to Sisera,
as to Jabin,
as to Jabin,
at the brook of Kison,
at the brook of Kisum,
which perished at Endor.
perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth,
They became as dung for the earth
for their nobles,
for their nobles,
like Oreb
and Oreb
and Zebih.
and Zebih.
Yea,
Yea,
all their princes,
all their princes,
as Zebah
as Zebah
and Zaluma,
Zaluma,
who said,
who said,
Let us take ourselves
Let us take ourselves
the houses of God in possession.
the houses of God in possession.
O my God,
Oh my God,
let them,
let them,
like a wheel,
like a weed,
as the stubble before the wind,
as the stubble before the wind,
as the fire burneth a wood,
as the fire burneth the wood,
as the flame setteth the mountains on fire,
as the flame set the mountains on fire,
so persecute them
so persecute them
with thy tempest,
with thy temper,
and make them afraid
and make them afraid
with thy storm.
with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame,
Fill their faces with shame,
that they may seek thy name.
that they may seek thy name.
O Lord,
O Lord,
let them
let them
be confounded
let them be confounded
and troubled forever.
and troubled forever.
Yea,
Yea,
let them be put to shame and perish,
let them be put to shame and perish,
that the men may know
that the men may know
that thou,
that thou,
whose name alone is Yahweh,
whose name alone is Yahweh,
art the Most High
and the Most High
over all the earth.
over all the earth. We're going to say now is bless Israel. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Hashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahushai,
Barak now,
Baratunawa,
Shahala,
YAHANNA,
Abaya,
Wahabaya,
Sapari,
Sapari,
Barak,
Barak,
Rapa,
Rapa,
Magad,
Magan,
Magad,
Hagan,
Bahashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
to Waraman. What he said in the English was, Lord,
Lord,
in the name of
in the
Yahushai,
name of Yahushai,
bless us,
bless us,
and Israel,
and Israel,
and the school.
and the school.
Bless,
Bless,
heal,
heal,
shield,
shield,
protect our loved ones.
protect our loved ones.
In the name of
In the
Yahushai,
name of Yahushai.
thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. I.S.U.P.K curses. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and
And
earth,
all things living.
and all things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh,
In the name of
in
Yahushai.
the name of Yahushai,
Listen to us now.
listen to us now,
Right now.
right now.
Set evils and curses.
Set evils and
And
curses,
punishment and destruction.
and punishment and
To
destruction
the heathen.
to the heathen
That speak against
that
us.
speak against us,
Like prophets.
like prophets,
The teachers.
the teachers,
The princes.
the princes,
The priests.
the priests,
The Israelite brothers.
Israelite brothers,
And the school.
and the school.
Set evils and curses.
Set evils and curses,
And punishment and
and
destruction.
punishment and
To the
destruction
heathen.
to the heathen,
And shake loose.
and shake loose
The treasure.
the treasure
Of the rich of Israel.
of the rich of
That
Israel,
refuse to give to the school.
that refuse to give to the school,
Force their riches.
force their riches,
Enter into thy
enter
sanctuary.
into thy sanctuary,
Set evils and curses.
set evils and
And
curses,
punishment and destruction.
and punishment and
To the
destruction
Edomites.
to the Edomites,
And the nation.
the nation,
And their drug
and their
dealers.
drug
The
dealers,
court system.
court system,
Prison system.
prison system,
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood,
All the governments of our enemies.
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church.
Roman Catholic Church,
Pope. Islam.
Islam,
Christianity.
Christianity,
Egyptology.
Egyptology,
Militia.
militia,
Ku Klux
Ku
Klan.
Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation.
Aryan Nation,
Skinheads.
Skinheads,
Posse Comitatus.
Comitatus,
Gay movement.
gay movement,
Lesbian movement.
lesbian movement,
Spies.
spies,
Workers of witchcraft.
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space program.
NASA space
Army.
program, army,
Navy.
navy,
Air Force.
Air Force,
Marines.
Marines,
Wall Street.
Wall Street,
Open up the internet.
open up the internet,
And the airwaves.
and the airwaves,
The cable access channel.
cable access
And
channels,
the radio
and
channel.
the radio channels,
Convict the spirit.
convict the spirits
Of any of that people.
of any of thy people
That seek to stop
that
us.
seek to stop
And
us
bring swift destruction.
and bring swift
To all the
destruction
heathen.
to all the
That
heathens
stand in the way.
that stand in the
Or
way
try to stop
or
us.
try to stop
From
us
broadcasting your
from
word.
broadcasting your
To
word
all the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues.
Let loose all the plagues,
Cause them to go to and
cause
fro.
them to go to and fro,
Through the earth.
to the earth,
And consume
and
them.
consume
Let
them.
the plagues.
Let the plagues
Shake the house of the thief.
shake the house of the
And the
thief
murderer.
and the murderer.
Let your house
Let
shine.
Yahweh shine.
Michael, and Gabriel, come down with the flying saucer, and punish all the heathen that come up against us, as we speak thy word, cause it to be known by all, it is the angels that have done it, cause it to be spread through the media, through the whole world, cause them to shake at thy coming, in the name of Yahushua. Thank you always. So be it. Sir? Alright, so today we're going to continue the reading from Genesis chapter 36 and verse 31. Okay. Yeah. 36. Book of Genesis, chapter 36 and verse 33. Wayamath. Balai. Wayamalak. Sakayawa. Yawaba. Ban. Zarak. Mabatazar. Verse 34. Wayamath. Yababa. Yawababa. Wayamala. Takataya. Salakya. Takatayawa. Kashan. Marataza. Atamayamyan. Verse 35. Wayamath. Kasham. Wayamalak, Takaya, Salakia, Takatay Yan, Hada, Hadada, Ban, Badada, Hamaka, Salakia, Hamaka, Ata, Madayan, Bashad, Mawaaba, Washam, Ayarwa, Awayah. Verse 36. Wayamah, Hadada, Wayamah, Salakia, Wayamalak, Taka, Tayawa, Shamala, Mamasha'arak. Verse 37. Wayamah, Shamala, Wayamalak, Taka, Tayawa, Sha'awal, Marak, Bawat, Hanara. Verse 38. Wayamah, Wa'awal, Wayamalak, Taka, Tayawa, Ba'al, Kanana, Ban, Ikabawa. Verse 39. Wayamath, Ba'al, Kana, Ban, Ikabawa, Wayamala, Taka, Tayawa, Hada, Washam, Ayaro, Ba'aiwa, Washam, Ashathwa, Mahaya, Tabala, Bath, Matarad, Bath, Maya, Zahab.
Come on. The book of Genesis, chapter 36 and verse 32. Salakia, and verse 33. And Bela died, and Jobab, the son of Zerah, of Bozrah, reigned in his stead. Verse 34. And Jobab died, and Husham of the land of Temani reigned in his stead. Verse 35. And Husham died, and Hadad, the son of Bedad, who smote Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his stead. And the name of his city was Avith. Verse 36. And Hadad died, and Samlah of Masrekah reigned in his stead. Verse 37. And Salma died, and Saul of Ruboth by the river reigned in his stead. and Saul died. And Baal-Hanan, the son of Akbor, reigned in his stead. And Baal-Hanan, the son of Akbor, died. And Hadar reigned in his stead. And the name of his city was Pau. And his wife's name was Mehetabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. Yeah, so what else?
So just in where the names of the different kings of the different eras being named, you know, when the sons of Esau started to infiltrate all these lands. Yeah. Right, so this is just like a backdrop of all the kings who reigned in those steads at that time. Yeah, so I'll continue the reading. The book of Genesis, chapter 36, and verse 40. Walaha, Shamawaf, Alawapaya, Aishawa, Lamashapaf, Katham, Lamakwa Mathiam, Bashamatham, Alawapia, Alawap, Tamanai, Alawap, Alawap, Yathya, verse 41, Alawap, Ahalaya Bama, Alawap, Alawap, Payanna, verse 42, Alawap, Kwanaza, Alawap, Tamayan, Alawap, Mabatazar, verse 43, Alawap, Magadaya Allah, Alawap, Ayaram, Alaha, Alawapia, Adamo, Adawam, Lamashabatham, Ba'arataza, Akazatham, Hawa'a, Aishawa, Abaya, Adawam. The book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 1. Wayashab, I.S.U.P.K, Ba'arataza, Magawiya, Raya, Abayawa, Ba'arataza, Kana'aina, verse 2, Alaha, Taladawa, Yaikwa, Yawasa, Ban, Shabai, Aishara, Shanaha, Hazaha, Rabai, Atta, Akayawa, Batazana, Wahawa, Naira, Atha, Banaya, Balaha, Bahala, Wa'atha, Banaya, Zalapa, Nashiya, Abayawa, Wayaba, Yawasa, Atta, Gabatham, Ra'ai, Allah, Abayaham, Restraint, Wayashar, Wayasha'ala, Ahab, Atta, Yawasa, Makal, Banayawa, Kaya, Ban, Zakwaniam, Hawa'a, Lawa, Wa Aisha, Lawa, Kata, Nath, Pasayam. Next.
Kan. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 36 and verse 40. And these are the names of the dukes that came of Esau, according to their families, after their places, by their names: Duke Timnah, Duke Alva, Duke Jehet, Duke Aolibama, Duke Ela, Duke Pinon, Duke Kenaz, Tawada, Duke Teman, Duke Mebza, Duke Magdiel, Duke Iram. These be the dukes of Edom, according to their habitations in the land of their possession. He is Esau, the father of the Edomites. The book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zephal, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors.
So once again, you see in here, just ended up with Esau. You see where he basically named the tribes, right? All the tribes of that time that were prominent. I think it's 12 of them, if I'm not mistaken, right? But at the end of the day, these tribes end up being the descendants of the so-called white man. No matter, even if you look at it today, all these so-called European nations, all of them are the same people. Whether they say the Germans, French, they come from the same bloodline, right? Esau is their forefather, right? And they know them as the nation of Edom, or the Edomites. So they may have slightly changed names. They try to hide themselves throughout history, but they are the same people,
right?
Doing the same wickedness, doing the same destruction to the Lord's people. And if you add anything,
so okay, if I may, just to add, we're saying to with Esau being the white man today, right? As we know him as the white man today, but this line is his line.
That's right.
Right? And because of the Christian church, people being ignorant of this, right? And not knowing that
all the races of people that are seen on the face of the earth today.
That's right.
Right? Are these people in the Bible?
That's right.
Right? And as the list goes down, right? The in the Bible kept meticulous record, right, of who this man was.
That's right.
That's why here in the I.S.U.P.K we could say that Esau is the forefather of the white man today, because the Bible kept his record.
That's right.
Coming down the line, and it even kept note of the dukes, right? Which is like members of royalty.
That's right.
Which was in his lineage, and because it kept the record of the members of royalty in his lineage, that's why we're able to trace it back today.
That's right.
Because now we can look back in world history, right? And the Bible is world history, right? And we could go back in world history and look up these dukes or members of notoriety within the lineage of Esau, and trace back this line and this heritage to the white man today.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a lot. You are just saying that, and they're still saying the Bible not real. They're still saying that, it was, something that come together. And even so, still the saying it was written by the white man, which is not true. You understand? But even here, you're seeing, even when you look at Esau's current history, when you look at the so-called medieval times, their kingdoms had the same format. They used to call each other Duke of this.
That's right.
Especially in England, Duke of Sussex, Duke of this place, Duke of that place. So even they themselves understand and know the terms of who they are.
Right.
And the dukes were, again, royal family. So even they themselves kept the tradition come right down, even to now. And then yet still, they still try to hide. If the Bible shows the so-called white man, why they cannot believe that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the nation of Israel today? Right. So as we go forward, we see now, even when you go to chapter 37, where Joseph, I should say Israel, and his sons, and we see now where the prominence of the story of Joseph starts to come into play. And you see what was significant. They say, I'm seeing here, right in verse 2, the middle of verse 2. That's how verse 2. These are the generations of Jacob. So just as how there was a lineage of Esau, there also was a lineage of the nation of Israel.
Right.
So these are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, their father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. So he basically only go back and tell the father, them fellas doing so and so and so and so. And usually with siblings, once you say you have somebody carry news, it usually is not the one that is very much liked. Right? All of us grew up with those who are brothers and sisters, even if they have cousins. That could always bring, a rift. Especially in this case, they are different mothers. So that's because they really specified which sons that he brought the evil report on. And also, as verse 3, it says that Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was basically the last son at that time. As we know, the last child is sometimes the spoiled child. Get away with a lot of stuff, cause a lot of mischief, the licks that everybody has get before. The last one usually doesn't get that. The treatment that the older ones would get from before, the last child or the baby doesn't really get that kind of treatment. So they also have that little enmity between. Right? So this is just basically a backdrop of what's going to take place later.
So and if I may, and even in verse 1, right? Just before we move on, in verse 1 it say that Jacob dwelt in a land where his father was a stranger, right? And the land was Canaan, right? And this is a major point people just miss, right? Because Canaan, when they trace back the land of Canaan today, they are the Africans today.
That's right.
Right? And it's saying now that Jacob was a stranger in that land, meaning that he was not from that land.
That's right.
Right? So how could the Israelites be Africans? They would never be Africans. Exactly. Understand? Because our forefather Jacob was not was not an African. In that land, he was a stranger, meaning it was not his land. Right? So that's just a point I would like to make.
That's an excellent point. Excellent point. A lot of people miss that. Even so-called historians, you know, they still, and the so-called Egyptologists and all these people, they try to coin this together, but they don't understand the Bible. Understand? And the many I.S.U.P.K under commanding General YAHANNA, the generals, the captains, the officers, and troopers, we learn the truth of this Bible. Your perception does not change the truth of the scriptures.
That's right.
That's what we continue to read. The book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 4. Wayarawa, Akayawa, Kaya, Atawa, Aha, Abayam, Abahayam, Maka, Akayawa, Wayashana Yawa, Atawa, Wala'a, Yakalawa, Dabara, La SHALAM, is 5, Wayakalam, Yawasa, Kalawam, Wayagad, La Akawa, La Akaya, La Yakayawa, Waya Wasapayiwa, Wasapwa, Aiwa, Shana'a, Atawa, with 6, Waya Ama, Alahaya, Salaki Alaham, Shama'aiwa, Na'a, Akalawa, Akawam, Azaha, Asher, Kamathia, with 7, Wahanna, Anakanawa, Ma'alamiam, Alamayam, Bathwaka, Ashad, Wahanna, Koma, Alamafia, Wagam, Natazab, Wahanna, Tasabana, Alamafiyakam, Watasha, Takamaya, La Mafia, was 8, Waya Ama, Wa, Lawa, Akayawa, Tamalak, Tamalaha, Tamalaka, Alianawa, Ama, Mashawal, Tamashal, Banawa, Waya Wasapaiwa, Isawad, Iwada, Shana'a, Atawa, I, Kamatha Yawa, Wa'ai, Dabarayawa, verse 9, Wayakala, Iwada, Kalawam, Akara, Wayasapa, Atawa, La Akayawa, Wayama, Anaha, Kalamafia, Kalawam, Iwada, Wahanna, Ashamash, Wahayaraka, Wayahara, Aishara, Kawakabaya, Mashata, Kawayo, Laya.
Come. The book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 4. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably with him. Verse 5. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. Verse 6. And he said unto them, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. Verse 7. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaf stood round about and made obeisance to my sheep. Verse 8. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. Verse 9. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream. Salakia, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance unto me. Verse 10. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? That's the end of this text.
Yeah, okay. So we see here now it's the guy more ticklish. Right? Verse 4 said, And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, it says they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. So you see now it's started to get real bickering. We call it bickering, real fighting. You're like he's easy mommy's boy, easy daddy's boy. Everybody love him. He can't get in trouble. So they can't have nothing good. When they're talking to him off. So we see here, it wasn't the so-called perfect, knit family, if you were to put it as that. Had problems between the brothers. As with most families, brothers somehow always fighting for something. He go and tell this one some, he take up this, he do that. And when it have so-called favoritism, it gives a even more tense struggle. So we're seeing that struggle here with Joseph and his rest of brothers. And as you're going down, you see he would dream a first dream, where showing that he would have power or have authority over his brothers and them. And that even make them more vexed. That you the smallest one and you want to rule. And when you look at it even today, in all our culture, the youngest one had to listen to the oldest, or the one whoever is immediately above him in age. That is usually how the culture goes. So for him now, having their little brother, the last one, saying that I will basically rule over all you, is almost like an insult. Right? So we see here with that side that bring a lot of problems among the brothers. Right? If you add anything.
Yeah, right? And rightfully we're saying them because that is like the normal, the culture, how things that usually go. You know what I mean? Right? And in terms of the younger and the elder, because that is more or less order.
That's it.
You understand? So that is how more or less the order does go. You understand? And they couldn't understand what was happening with Joseph and why he was making these dreams. And understand, it was strange. And understand where I'm coming from? And this here is just a classic case of brotherhood.
Yeah.
And understand, they didn't understand the how to knit that brotherhood together to make it one. Understand? And so they couldn't understand why this was happening and why he was making these dreams and why and why he would get these dreams. That's right? Because it wasn't, as you were saying before, it wasn't the norm of the culture at that time.
That's right.
Right? Yeah, that is basically so. Yeah.
Even when you're looking at as you rightly said, how the structure is, it's something that this dream, or probably a prophecy, was something that not even Joseph himself understood. So I guess maybe him in his innocence, I will say it like that. I dreamed this dream last night, but so face. And sometimes he would say, not understanding, but his brothers, his mother. But when he said, and he told his father and to his brethren, right? Verse 9 says that he dreamed a dream more. And you see the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to him. For him, maybe he carnally thinking that, I dream the sun and the moon bow down to me. But his father and his brothers probably been older and more understanding, that you dream this. I mean, me and your mother will submit ourselves. I will make you.
Mm-hmm.
Like any father in a house, if his so-called child seem to be rising in power, I is the one who make you. Mm-hmm. You can't have more power than me in this house. So even then, they didn't understand that what he dreamt was something for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how the Most High works at times, where sometimes things happen and we clearly do not understand. Sometimes it's just the Most High preserving us for another time. A lot of us have been in all kind of issues. We have been in gangs, we have been in crime, we have been in so-called fake camps, all kind of stuff. But sometimes the Most High just preserve you from doing certain things so that you'll be able to be used later on. Mm-hmm. Something may look like something that might be bad now or evil, but not knowing that the Most High giving you mercy for the way.
Right.
Is there anything or anything? So we continue reading. The book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 11. Wayakwan awa, bawa, akayawa, wa abayawa, shama, ata, hada'a, hadaba. Verse 12. Wayalakwa, akayawa, lara'aiwa, ata, tazana, abayam, bashakam. Verse 13. Wayama, Yasharala, Allah, Wayasap, Alawa, Akayaka, Ra'ayam, Bashakam, Laka, Wa Ashalaka, Salakia, Wa Asha Lakaka, Alayaham, Waya'ama Lawa Hananaya. Verse 14. Waya'ama Lawa Kal Ba'a Ra'aha Atta Shalawa Akayaka Wa Atha Hatazan Slack Waya Shalak Kahawa Ma'aimakwa Kabar Wayaba Shakam verse 16. Wayam Taza'ahawa Ayasha Wahan Ta'aya Bashada Wayasha Alahawa Ha'ayash Alama Maha Tabakwash verse 16. Waya'ama Hatta Akaya Anakaya Mabakwash Hagayad Ba'a Laya Ayasa Ham Ra'ayam verse 17. Wayama Hayash Nasa Aywa Mazaa Haya Shamaitaya Amarayam Nalaka Tadayan Wayalak Wayasap Kara Akayawa Wayam Taza Wayatazam Badatan. That's it.
The book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 11. And his brethren envied him, but his father observed, saying, verse 12. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. Verse 13. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here I am. Verse 14. And he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. Verse 15. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? Verse 16. And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. Verse 17. And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. That is the end of verse 17.
Sorry?
It's the end of verse 17.
All right, okay. So all right, so we now see where Joseph dreamed the dreams. He told it to his brethren, he told it to his father. But something that is very key that we need to notice, that even though he said it, as you said before, maybe he didn't fully understand it. But in verse 11 says, and his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. So his father didn't just dismiss it to say, well, he talking stupidness, or, me like him because he said, well, he could rule over me. His father had enough understanding, enough wisdom to know that this dream, what this boy dreamed, something is more than just what it actually is.
Right.
So, he kept it in mind. You see? But his father observed the same. So he was very careful in trying to understand what this dream meant. But again, that was something that was of the Most High and something that was a future prophecy to come. But his father probably always kept it in his mind. And we see now where, his father wanted to send him out to his brethren, right? As you know, farming or husbandry and animal husbandry was a big thing. That was the main part of your wealth, that and farming. So the more gold, the more sheep, the more cattle you had, you was a rich man, a wealthy man, because you had to get any milk, you get any meat, you get any skins to make clothes. So today is as if you have a supermarket, or you have a farm, meat farm, beef, cow farm, chicken farm. You had a lot of money. Persons would come, get your stock, your livestock, make more money. The more money you make, the more wealth you have. That was basically the emphasis of the day at the time. So as you can see, we know Israel had a lot of wealth, even though they were a traveling, group of people. In that case, they would call them, nomadic at the time. So you could add anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you see, he's going out to his brethren. His father gave him what you need to give him. He said, all right, send this, go and see how your brother going and bring back a report from him. So even when you're seeing, Joseph, he wasn't getting no hard work. Put it that way. So he brethren them outside there doing all the work. He was with his father, basically. So his father sent him out to see, well, what's going on. They're probably a few days journey away. That probably telling the amount of livestock and stuff he had. Like he had to, graze your herd in different areas, different parts. After you have to make a few days journey just to get to where you're grazing your animals, that has, is a lot of animals here. They reach to those different spots. So we continue. The book of Genesis, chapter 37, and verse 18. Wayara'awa Atawa Mara Kakwa Wabataram Yakwarab Alayaham Wayatha Nakalwa Atawa Laham Yathwa Laham Yathwa. Verse 19. Waya Amarwa Ayash Allah Akayawa Hana Ba'al Akalamwath Alatazar Ban Aita Lakawa Wanaha Ragawa Wanasha Lakawa Ba'akad, Habarawa, Wa Amar Noah, Kaya, Ra'ai, Akalathwa, Akalahathwa, Wanara, Maha, Yahayawa, Kalamath, Thiyawa. Verse 21. Wayasha Ma'ai, Ra'awama, Wayataza Laha, Wayataza Laha, Salakia, Wayataza Lahawa, Mayadam, Wayama, La'a, La Nakanawa, Lapash. Verse 22. Wayama, Alaham, Rawaban, La'a, Salakia, Allah, Tashapakawa, Dam, Tashala Yakawa, Athawa, Allah, Habawa, Habawo, Azaha, Ashar, Bamadaba, Wayada, Allah, Tashal Kawa, Bawa, Lama'aina, Atazalaya, Atazayal, Atawa, Mayadam, Laha Shaya Bawa, Allah, Abayawa, Wayahaya, Kashar, Kaashar, Ba'a, Yawasak, Allah, Akayawa, Wayapa, Shayatawa, Atha, Yawasa, Atha, Kata Natawa, Atha, Katanta, Salakia, Katana, Aposapium, Ashar, Ayawa. Verse 24. Wayakwa Kahawa, Wayasha Lakawa, Atawa, Tabara, Salakia, Abba, Wahaba Baw, Waha Bawo, Rakwa, Ayan, Bawa, Mayam. That's it? 18 to 24?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
The book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 18. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. Verse 19. And they said to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Verse 20. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit, and we will say, some evil beast has devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, let us not kill him. Verse 22. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. Verse 23. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. Verse 24. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it.
So you see in here, when Joseph finally come and met his brethren, and that's the thing they say, even when he was afar off. So in this sense, he walking, coming on with the true, wherever terrain you're coming to meet them in the field. And he said, boy, that man, you like that man, dream, oh, you want to rule over us? No sweat. And just imagine, even among his own brothers who wanted to kill him, literally kill him. And that is really that envy or that lack of brotherhood was so much among there that to the point where your own brother wanted to murder you, or brothers want to murder you. But yet still there was still mercy that even a few of his brother, one of his brother, I think it was Reuben, said, nah, I think he was the oldest one at the time. He understood that it was wrong. Even though all the brothers had so much envy and so much hatred in their heart for their own brother, that they were willing to kill him just because of what he said. And he didn't say anything that was out of the ordinary in the aspect of it was a dream. That was the truth of the dream. But they didn't like that that dream meant that he would rule over them at some point in time. So because of that, that brought envy and strife, and they wanted to kill him. And they conspired that when he reached, they grab him, take off his clothes, take off his coat of many colors, which was, I think that was the oldest one that he alone had that. So even that was, a source of contention, that multiple colored garment. So even with all that, they took him, they threw him in a pit, and it's even specified that pit didn't have no water. So maybe the season was probably a dryish season, because usually most pits would have water, or be like a well. So they threw him inside it, and then was deciding probably what to do next. But the Most High has so much mercy that his brother Reuben convinced the other brothers not to kill him, and possibly, I just assume saying that we go throw him inside it and just leave him and we'll go away. But in his mind, he's trying to save his brother,
right?
But to appease the other brothers from not actually killing him on the spot, we put him in the hole, and when the Israelite fellas probably gone somewhere, he would take him back out and say, hey, go home, just to save his brother's life. And that was just part of, the mercy that the Most High gave, not just to Joseph, but to Israel on a whole. So I don't know if you add anything there.
Yeah, kind of. If I may say, yeah, and as they saying before, Israeli that lack of brotherhood make them end up in this position.
That's right.
All right, because if you watch from when he told them the dream he made, right? Even as I was rightly saying before, he father had to question him because it was strange. It was not the normal culture at that time.
Yeah.
And his father had us to question him, how you make this dream, understand? Right? And what does dream mean? But after the father began to think about it, understand? And as they say, he didn't just blow it off.
That's right.
In one, as his other brothers did.
Yeah.
Right? And that to show you how enmity and hatred. Understand? Could start from not understanding something.
That's right.
Understand?
That's
right? And it starts from so it moved from not understanding to them hating the brother until it reached to the point where you want to murder your brother. Right? And it moved from something so simple to something so grand. And in which now you're willing to break the law or murder your own blood. Right? And that I remember a story happened right here in Trinidad with two brothers end up in an argument over $20 and they stab one another. And both of them died. Right?
Yeah.
Over $20, something so simple. And if we could read back in the records and see these things, many things we have today will be avoided. And that is why they say the things written are 4 times written for your learning. And something so simple becomes so major and grand and upsetting. And disastrous. And if they had recollect, or if they had took offense and decided not, understand? They must go and ask brother, what about this dream? Why we really dream, and try to understand it and try to wait and see what would become of this.
That's it.
All this would have never happened. Understand? Right? And Ruben, at that time, having that love for your brother, he don't want to see them murder. You understand? He don't want to see them murder your brother, and he's part of that, because although he might not never take the knife, right? Because that was happened to some of us sometimes. Sometimes we'll take the knife and do the actual job. But by us not doing anything, you contribute to the actual murder of the man.
That's right.
So you too is actually a murderer. Right. Just like in the I.S.U.P.K under command in YAHANNA, when you go out in the street to warn people, right? And how we need to come back to the laws, right? And how we need to come back to the culture and history. That same way we preventing the blood from being on our hands.
Right.
And then we having that love for people to go with it. Understand? Because by we deciding and knowing this truth and not saying anything, we contributing. Understand? To the destruction of our own people. And that is why we have to go there, right? Day after day, night after night, and really stand up for the nation. Understand? And defend it and have that love and that brotherhood for we people. The world don't love we people, but we are the love we own people.
That's right. And what is so critical that you mentioned, you see that whole communication aspect.
Right.
That communication aspect is so critical because they didn't understand. Because you could communicate, but without the understanding, that would usually sometimes bring the confusion. Because I can tell you, so and so is the case, but because you don't understand what is being said, and because that communication process is interrupted by whatever means,
right,
that bring a lot of confusion, bring a lot of enmity, and bring a lot of misunderstanding. With that misunderstanding now, that way Satan goes out the work. So you bring hatred for your brother, you bring strife, and you can see the right in the scriptures, because these are examples that we have that has happened to our forefathers. And this is where, as Paul said, everything is what is written aforetime. I just said it for our learning. So these are prime examples. Don't feel this not happening now. You understand? That miscommunication, you had to be able to understand what is being said, and from there, you can be able to understand your brother, understand your sister.
Right.
And we will end up in this kind of situation that happened to these brothers here in the early stages of the life of the nation of Israel.
Right.
Right. But at the end, all this was also as well to help fulfill the Most High's purpose at the end of the day, because the turn of events was really sequencing to what the Most High wanted at the end of the day. And you can't escape the Most High. You cannot escape the Most High, no matter what it looks like. So you continue reading. The book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 25. ويشابه لأكال لقم ويشاء أيام
Waya Rawa, Waya Rawa, Wahan, Alakha, Arak, Arak, Kata, Yashayam, Yashai, Ma'ai Allah Yam, Ba'a, Magala Aida, Wagam Layam Ha, Wagam Layaham, Wanaayam, Nakaf, Watazara, Watazariya, Walata, Awalakiyam, Lahawa Rayada, Matazarayamha, Matazarayam, verse 26. Waya'amah, Yahawad, Allah, Akayawa, Maha, Matazai, Kaya, Nahar Raga, Ata, Akayan, Akayanwa, Wakasapyana, Wakasapyanawa, Ata, Damawa, verse 27. Lakawa, Wanama, Karayanawa, Layasha, Ma'ailayawam, Yashai, Ma'ai, Alayam, Wayada Nawa, Allah, Tahaya, Bawa, Kayana Nawa, Basharai Nawa, Awa'a, Wayasha Aiwa, Akayawa, verse 28. Waya Aibarawa, Ra'ai Slakia, Wa'ai Barawa, Anashayam, Madaya Nayam, Sakariyam, Wayasha Kawa, Wayailawa, Ata, Yawasak, Mana, Habawara, Habawo, Wayamaka Rawa, Ata, Yawasak, Layasham Layam, Ba'ai Sharayam, Kasak, Bayaba Yarawa, Ata, Yawasak, Matazariam, verse 29. Wayashab, Ra'awa Rabban, Allah, Habawa, Habawo, YAHANNA, YAHANNA, YAWASAP, Babawa, Wayakwara, Ata, Bagadiyawa, verse 30, Wayashab, Allah, Akayawa, Wayama, Ayalad, Ayan Nayawa, Ayan Nawa, Wa Anaya, Anaya, Ba'a, verse 31, Wayakawa, Ata, Katana Nathan, Katanata, Yawasap, Wayashaka Tawa, Sha'ira, Isayam, Wayata Balawa, Ata, Akanat Nata, Badam. All right, that's it.
Come on. The book of Genesis, chapter 25, chapter 37 and verse 25. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. Verse 26. And Judah said unto his brethren, what profit it is if we slay our brother and conceal his blood. Verse 27. Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Verse 28. And then there passed by the Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. Verse 29. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. Verse 30. And he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and I, whither shall I go? Verse 31. And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of goats and dipped the coat in the blood.
But you see here now, after they cast him to the pit, right? So Reuben said, all right, they threw me in the pit. You guys a chance to go on for the, maybe they'll go forget it, But you see, even then, they still had in mind to really kill their own brother. And the Most High made it so that even while they sit down and eating, Judah probably reasoning with himself, and the Most High giving us praise here. So you brother, better we kill him. You see, look, some Ishmaelites coming there, some going on looking to go down Egypt to trade. And even then, you see in the same spirit of the so-called Arab man, the Ishmaelites. They were wild men, they were always traders, they were always that kind of merchant type people, wanderers of the desert. So even back in biblical times, that was their trade. So they going down Egypt to do trade. So Judah say, here what? Instead of we kill me brother and eat blood is on our hands, and he even mentioned that is we flesh. So you see, even that he started probably coming to himself to realize that, boy, we don't give you brother blood on your hands. Yeah, we hate him for whatever reason, but maybe at least shed his blood. So they didn't decide to sell him. And I guess maybe during all that time, their brother Reuben probably was not close by, because as the scripture said, you know, I think that's in verse 29. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. And not only that, Reuben was the oldest boy, and as the oldest son, his responsibility would be to the entire family. Even though you have he would be basically over all the other brothers. And I know they would have, you know, a listening ear to the older brother. So even when he told them, here, well, let me do kill him, let me put him in the pit, that is their older brother. So they still have that respect to know, all right, he said that, so we go kill him, we go put him in the pit. Reuben make a spin, as we the same, and they say, here, well, we go kill him, but yeah, let me at least get rid of him still. So they sell him to the Ishmaelites, and when Reuben come back, Reuben realized that, boy, I need some trouble here.
Right.
Because the boy now in the pit, and I showed them what we say about me, well, me know where you going. You understand? So he now know that he has to answer for his brother. Him being the oldest son, he has to give an answer to their father. He's ultimately responsible as the man in charge for what is taking place. So from there, they decided to take another route to try and see how best they could cover up what took place. If you had anything.
Yeah, common cancer. Yes, and as I rightfully saying, Reuben being the oldest are the siblings, right? He would have most likely to have the responsibility, right, over all his brothers at that time, right? Because he would have been the oldest child would receive the inheritance.
That's right.
Right? So he would have been ultimately responsible right after his father would have been him, right? And he would have held that responsibility and would have had to take the blame, right, of whatever punishment his father has to give if they had murdered Joseph, right? So that's why he asked, that's why he said, and I said, whither shall he go? Because he knew he couldn't go back home. And that used to tell how strict, right? It was long time, right? It was not a light thing for you to go back home without your brother. You understand where I'm from, right? Or he getting some scrape or he lost a hand or a foot, and you just didn't answer nothing for it. You understand? He would have faced the ultimate responsibility, whatever punishment that his father would give to him. You understand? So he knew that is a burden he was not willing to bear. Right?
Yeah.
So he had the mind now to go back in the pit, right? And take his brother out and as you rightfully say, send him back home.
Yeah.
But henceforth now, while they're sitting down eating, as you say, Judah come and say, well, let me sell him to the Ishmaelites.
Yeah.
And I said, so basically what happened to him here, he basically gets sold as a slave.
That's right.
And I said, he gets slave price. They're selling for 20 pieces of silver. So he basically gets sold as a slave to the Ishmaelites. Understand? And well, as scripture say, what was meant for bad and the Most High make it to good.
That's right.
Understand? So as we read on, we will get to see that.
So all these things that happen is just for the fulfillment of what the Most High want.
That's right.
You know, to be done for Israel, because all that was a plan in the distance. A lot at that time nobody was able to understand. I remember this is a process over time. And a lot of people just understand sometimes when they read the Bible, sometimes a number of years, you know, between each event. That's right. You know, so sometimes it may look like, you know, like yesterday that happened and then today this happened, but it's a number of years, you know, between something that is taking place here and probably what actually happened as it goes down in the scriptures. So we're going to continue the reading. And so okay, just before we continue, you see, even then when Reuben realized the boy, he is some trouble, he had to make up some story. And again, this is something that even then you had to be careful as leaders. You know, he knew he had to face the father. And he said, well, what story he's going to tell? Because he cannot give the real story. If you understand what I mean. So he had to make up something to say here, like he brother get lost, because if he gonna tell his father like was conspiring to kill him, and to put him in a pit, and then he disappeared, that ultimate responsibility as a brother, he would have had to face that consequence. So they had to make up something so they had his coat still, they kill a goat, soak it in the blood, tear it up, so they could create a scenario to carry back for their father.
Right.
So you got to continue to read it. The book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 31. It's like it was 32. وَيَشَلَّخْ خَوَى أَتَّى كَتَانَةَ أَبَصَيَمْ وَيَبَا يَأَوَى Allah أَبَيَّهَمْ وَيَأَمَارُوا زَعَثَى مَتَزَا أَنَوَى Hakara Na'a Hakath Natha Banaka Hawa'a Amma La'a. Verse 33. Wayaka Yara Waya Amma Katanatha Banaya Kayaha Ra'ai Akalathawa Sarak Yawasak. Verse 34. Waya Kora'ai Yaikwab Shamalath Yawa Wayashab Shakwa Bamathani Yawa Wayata Abal Ai Banawa Yam Rabayam. Verse 35. Wayakwa Mawa Kal Baniyawa Wakal Banathiyawa Lanaka Mawa Wayama Anna, like a Wayaman Lahata Nakam Wayama Kaya Arada Allah Baniya Abala. That's like a Abba Wa Allah Wayabaka Atawa Abayawa. Verse 36. Wa Amad Denayam Makarwa Tawa Allah Matazarayam the power Taya Pora Sarayasa Porai Shara Ataba Khayam. Verse 38. Salakia. The book of Genesis, chapter 38 and verse 1. Wayahaya, Ba'aitha, Hawa, Wayarad, Yahawada, Martha, Akayawa, Wayata, Aida, Ayasha, it's like Ayash, Idalama, it's like Idala, Maya, Washamia, Washamwa, Kayara, verse 2. Wayara, Sham, Yahawada, Bath, Ayash, Kanai, Naya, Washamwa, Sha'ai, it's like a Shawa'ai, Wayakwa Ka, Wayaba, Alaya.
Kanwankan, the book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 32. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said, This have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or no. Verse 33. And he knew it, and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast had devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. Verse 34. And Joseph rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned for his son many days. Verse 35. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, and said, For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. Verse 36. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. And it came to pass at the time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite who was named Hira. Verse 2. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua, and he took her and went in unto her.
That's right. So we see here now where again his brothers had to find something to really carry back to their father. So they took his coat, cut it up, drenched it in the blood of the sheep, of the kid, and with that now they had to carry that back to his father. And without doubt, when Jacob saw, or when they told him, and they brought the evidence, they made up evidence of him being killed by an animal. That totally broke him. You understand? I say, if he could go down in the grave, kill me now. I know, and many times we see in Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, sometimes the way we mourn our dead, sometimes it can be very excruciating. Sometimes when we love our people, especially our children. And many a times we have seen funerals where people are so devastated by death. Some people jump in the hole, jump in the grave, just to go with that person. Some persons, in very extreme circumstances, commit suicide from depression. Some people can't take the sting of death of our loved one. And we see here where Jacob was really devastated by the death. And seeing that his sons you know, he was trying to comfort him, even knowing, well, I should say some of his sons, the majority, because Reuben already thought, well, something going on with him, or he disappeared. But they're trying to comfort him, still knowing that, you know, they were the ones who behind what happened to their brother. You know, even that, you know, is a kind of thing to see that, to watch their father in that kind of sorrow, knowing what they did, even that probably, you know, pressed hard on their heart, you know, for what they did to their brother. And if you add anything.
Yeah, come on, Khan, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really something that we could learn from, right? Because still the distance that was willing to go to rid the brother, understand, from a simple thing like a dream, understand, show you how sometimes the enemy could affect your mind, right? In such a way that they're willing to do some type of evil to your brother, right?
That's right.
Right? And as we read on, you go see that the Most High turn it back into something good, but it is a learning lesson, right? That we could look back to, and understand, for we to have that love and that unity, right, among one another, understand, right, and willing to work out whatever differences we have, because it's not expedient that we should carry on hatred or evilness to one another. It profits nobody. You understand? And that is not the spirit that the Most High want we to have.
That's right.
Understand? Among one another, right? That is not a spirit he gave us, right? For us to hate our own people, or hate our own brothers.
That's right.
To the point that you're willing to rid them from among you. You understand? Right? That is not the spirit. That is not the spirit he gave us. And it was not justified, because he didn't.
That's right.
He didn't do anything wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that particular time. And this, as rightfully saying, crushed Joseph, because when we read earlier, when we begin to read earlier, right, it said that he loved Joseph, that he was his favorite son, right, among all the brethren, right, and Joseph being the favorite, right, because he loved him because that was his son at the old age. That was the last son, as I rightfully saying, as I was saying before, that was the baby, you understand?
Yeah.
Right, and I know he had a special connection with him.
That's right.
Right, and if all when we read up in the early part of the scriptures, right, he was a son where he kept close to him. So all of the others would go out in the field to tend the flock. This one, he saw don't want nothing happen to Joseph.
That's right.
That he keeping him close to him. Understand? So when this come and happen now, it wrecked him.
Yeah.
Understand? To the point where he thought, well, that is it. It's better you take me to.
Yeah.
In that sense, and understand where I'm from, right? And as the rightfully saying, sometimes that we just see that example that's happening now in the nation of Israel, and that's how you know you belong in the same in this nation.
Yeah.
Understand? Because you could actually see that grief, and you see how people mourn today. Sometimes it could affect you to that point, right? Because you don't understand, it was sudden. And it's not like he was old and sick.
That's right.
Understand? This happened sudden, right? And the explanation they give, well, he had to take it because if they say animal kill it, that was a possibility at that time. You understand? Right? So this was the account they come and give the father. So he had to believe it, right? And then, well, to the end, it started going to Judah now, right? And his lifestyle and where it started lead to, right?
That's right.
So they say, and he came and he ended up meeting an African and end up making a child with her, right? So it will continue and explain from there.
I mean, but you see, even then, even what we need to understand, just as we look at the wrap up here, is that even with Judah, a lot of people might see this and say, well, look, you see, Judah married an African. But what do you need to understand? Even though we have the laws, keeping the law is the important thing.
Right.
So, for instance, you say, okay, don't break the red light. That's a law. You reach at a stop sign, no problem, you have to stop. That doesn't mean that you cannot go through the stop sign. But if you drive through the stop sign, there are consequences.
Right.
That's why the nation of Israel not supposed to mix with other nations, but yet still, you see, they broke that covenant and still go and be with the other nations, and we will see the repercussions of all those things that come about when you do these kind of things. I see from in Genesis, we saw how it was destroyed because of that same thing, that interracial marriage.
Right.
And look now, you see certain things are being repeated. But again, there's always consequences to those type of actions. Right, so we stop here at this time. And we would say we continue next week and to get the understanding of what took place with Judah as we go along in the scriptures. With that, say, Madium.
Yeah. No, you went. Yes.
So,
La Yasharala to Israel.
when you have done, you need to rise and face the east. You say the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabashemaya, Padash, Ayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwatka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Baratiza, Kawa, Ayah, Bashemaya, Nathan now, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalakno, Kawatno, Kasalakno, Kawat, Wala, Tabianawa, Bansayawan. Abol, Oshino, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wahala, Wataparat, Igolamium, Aman. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Yahweh, Hashem, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Babakasha, Nathanawa, Haka, Larapa, Makal, Madawo, Haka, Lataha, Matazariah, Haka, Hakoyam, Hamatayam, Haka, Irakawat, Hatamayala, Lagarashim, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Wadama. In the English, what we said was Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai. Please give us the power. The power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out in the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. We're going to say Psalms 121 in Hebrew. Shah,
Asha,
Ayanya,
Al-Harayam, Mayan, Yaba'a, Azariah, Isaiah, Mayam, Yahweh, Asha, Shamayam,
Warataza, Aliatan,
Yamawat, Galgala, Al-Yanawam,
Shamarka,
Anna, La'a,
Yanawam,
Wala'a,
Yayashan,
Shawama, Yashala, Yahawa, Shamarka, Yahawa, Tizalka, Aliyad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Tashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayarak, Bayala, Yahawa, Bashamarka, Yakalarai, Yashama, Atanashpaka, Yahawa, Yashama, Tazahafka, Wabawaka, Wayata, Waid, Iwala. In the English, what we said was, I will lift up mine eyes. Unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord. Which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade. Upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going in, thy going out, and thy coming in, from this time forth, and even forevermore.
We're going to say Psalms 83 in Hebrew. Alahayim,
Al-Damayalaka,
Al-Takarash,
Al-Takarash,
Al-Tashakwat,
Al-Tashakwat,
Al-Yahanna,
Al-Yahanna,
Awayabaka, Yahama Yawan,
Ra'ash,
Al-Makar, Yaira
Yawam, Sawada,
Wayatha,
Yaitazawar,
Al-Tazapawanka, Amarwa,
Lakawa,
Wanakariam,
Wanakakadam,
Magawiya,
Wala'a,
Yazaka,
Shamyashala, Iwada, Kaya, Wanatazawa, Yaba, Kwayashwan, Nashamadwo,
Bayan the Ira,
Bayan the Ibwa, Hayawa,
the man, La
Adama, Shayatamwa, Nada Yadmawa, Kaira, Wakazabak, Wakatazal Manai, Kalnasakayawa, Ashur, Amawa, Nayarashwa, Lanawa, Ata, Naawat, Alahaya, Shayatamwa, Galgala, Tekwash, Lapanya, Rawaka, Kaash, Tabaira, Yaira, Wakalaba, Talahat, Arayam, Khan, Taradpoma, Basaraika,
Wabasa,
Wapatka,
Tabahalam,
Mala'a, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Waya Bakwashwa, Shamka, Yahawa, Yabashwa,
Waya
Bahalwa,
Adiyad,
Waya
Kaparwa,
Waya Abadwa, Waya Adaiwa, Kayata, Shamka, Yahawa, Labadka, Alyawan, Alkaha, Arataza. In the English, keep thou silent, O God.
Keep not silent, O God.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still, O God.
And be not still, O God.
For lo, thy enemies make a tumult.
Thy enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee.
And they that hate thee.
Have lifted up the head.
Have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel.
They have taken crafty counsel.
Against thy people.
Against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said.
They have said.
Come.
Come.
And let us cut them off.
Let us cut them off.
From being a nation.
Being a nation.
That the name of Israel.
The name of Israel.
May be no more in remembrance.
May be no more in remembrance.
For they have consulted together.
For they have consulted together.
With one consent.
With one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against
the tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites.
Of Moab.
Of Moab.
And the Hagarenes.
And the Hagarenes.
And Gebal.
And Gebal.
And Ammon.
And Ammon.
And Amalek.
And Amalek.
The Philistines.
The Philistines.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
The inhabitants of Tyre.
I.S.U.P.K is also joined with them.
Is also joined with them.
They have holpen.
They are holpen.
The children of Lot.
The children of Lot.
Selah.
Selah.
Do unto them.
Do unto them.
As unto the Midianites.
As unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to Jabin.
As to the brook of Kesun.
As to the brook of Kesun.
Which perished at Endor.
Which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Made their noble.
Made their noble.
Like Oreb.
Like Oreb.
And Zebi.
And Zebi.
Yea. All their princes as Zebah.
All their princes as Zebah.
And as Zaluma.
As Zaluma.
Who said, let us take to ourselves.
Let us take to ourselves.
The houses of God in possession.
The houses of God in possession.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Make them like a wheel.
Make them like a wheel.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the fire burning the wood.
As the fire burning the wood.
As the flame setting the mountains on fire.
As the flame setting the mountains on fire.
So persecute them with thy tempest.
So persecute them with thy tempest.
And make them afraid.
And make them afraid.
With thy storm.
With thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame.
That they may seek thy name.
That they may seek thy name.
That they may seek thy name, O Lord.
O Lord.
Let them be confounded.
Let them be confounded.
And troubled.
And troubled.
Forever.
Forever.
Yea. Let them be put to shame.
Let them be put to shame.
And perish.
And perish.
That men may know.
That men may know.
That thou. Whose name alone is Yahweh.
Whose name alone is Yahweh.
Are the most high.
Are the most high.
Over all the earth.
Over all the earth. We're going to say now, bless Israel. Yahweh,
Bahashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Baraklanawa, YAHANNA, Abayat, Sapari, Rapah, Magan, Hagan, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Tobago. Lord, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless us, and Israel, and the school, bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones, in the name of Yahweh Shai, we thank you, so be it.
We're going to say the I.S.U.P.K curses. Blessed you Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, listen to us now, right now, the evils and curses, punishment and destruction, to the heathen, that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school, the evils and curses, and punishment and destruction, to the heathen, and shake loose, the treasure of the rich of Israel, to give to the school, force their riches, enter into thy sanctuary, the evils and curses, and punishment and destruction, to the Edomites, and the nation, and their drug dealers, the court system, prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Area Nation, skinheads, quasi-comitazi, gay movement, lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space program, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street, open up the internet, and the airway. The cable access channel, and the radio channel, convict the spirit, any of thy people, that seek to stop us, and bring swift destruction, all the heathens, that stand in the way, or try to stop us, broadcasting your words, throughout the planet Earth, let loose all the plagues, cause them to go to and fro, through the earth, and consume them, let the plague, shake the house of the thief, and the murderer, let Yahweh Yahawashi,
Micah,
Gabriel, come down with the flying saucer, and punish all the heathen that come up against us. As we speak thy word, cause it to be known, by all. That is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media. To the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahawashi. Thank you.
We thank you.
So be it.
Sir.
Men of Israel, let's give the brothers online a courtesy salute. I Majam Shabbat, I Majam, Barak, Yahweh Shabbat. Let's also give the sisters a courtesy salute. I Majam Shabbat, I Majam, Barak, Yahweh Shabbat. Yadi Mata, as the end of the service.